Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix. A little bit something different for the channel today. Obviously E3 is going on, and what I want to do is I want to actually take a look at some of the trailers and what information you can get out of them. Now, it's great that people are very excited for some of these trailers and these new IPs and, you know, some old classics, but what does the gameplay and what does the sort of information that we can extract for it tell us about the game in question? And in particular, are there elements that we can say whether or not the design looks to be good to begin with, or maybe have been altered a little bit just to see, you know, maybe make a better presentation? The reason I want to do this specifically is because I got that inkling while watching the Doom 4, or the renamed Doom trailer. So we're going to take a look here, and we're going to go through the elements and, you know, take a real look at exactly what this game is having to offer us. Alright, so for this first introductory sequence, we get the Space Marine putting on his helmet for the first time, and I want to stop right here on it. Now, what you could take from this is that he's been a little bit battle-worn. The scratches on his helmet, as well as, you know, the damage around specific areas, seems to indicate that he's actually fought a little bit before. It may not be our original Space Marine, but it is somebody who is not a rookie, to say the least. I am unsure if the F90 means anything in terms of the world of Doom, but that seems to be important. It's on both sides. Maybe it's a squad, maybe it's a specific, you know, type of the armor in question, but that does show up a couple times. Alright, so we're going to get some gameplay here. This is taken from the E3 presentation, so you hear yelling in the background. It's typical HUD sequence of nowadays, where it brings up the HUD, like calibration, blah, 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 blah. You know, the stuff that you would expect. You got a trusty shotgun here that you would expect. Now, immediately, it sets the world tone in terms of the environment. It's obviously a mining operation, very similar to the first games. Very bright use of oranges. I'm not a fan of the lava. The lava doesn't have any rocks or anything in it. It's supposed to be maybe molten, just lava and pure, but it draws my attention too much. I mean, it just stands out way too much for me, and really, it should be sort of a backdrop, in my opinion. Now, we will get our first enemies of the game here, which I will, you know, pause and take a look at, you know, an enemy type right here. Now, specifically, executions in game. This is one of the first things that was noticed, the fact that you could execute your enemies. I'm not a fan of this mechanic. I really am not. It just feels like they need to go for a more cinematic approach, and they add this to the game, but it really slows down the first-person shooter, in my opinion. It's usually, you know, 4 or 5 seconds of the animation. This one's a little bit, you know, it's cool. I really do think it may hurt the flow, and we'll see that maybe later on in the trailer. Alright, so we rip the guy's heart out, and then we shoot a guy in the face. Now, I wanted to stop here because something really weird happened here. The body doesn't actually take damage. It actually sort of just disintegrates, and I found that really weird, especially because I had seen footage where, you know, limbs were flying off. So I don't know what exactly the deal is on this. It really stood out to me in terms of it just not seeming right. Now that one, you know, sort of blew up in his face. You get this sort of classic type of Doom music. We got a different enemy type here. Again, it looks like that blue indicates that, you know, they're ready to be sort of executed at that point. Looks like there could be multiple executions, and I don't know how I feel about that. If it's contextual sensitive kind of executions, that's sort of cool. Like he went for the leg, but I'm believing that's going to be random more than anything else. Alright, we get an enemy who's obviously just sort of ripping people apart. It's got an actual Doom 3-esque vibe to that, but then it immediately opens back up again. Now, I don't know what the difference between the red and the white is. I can't tell at that point. Now, it looks like enemies will drop health, and what I've noticed in the trailers is that the execution in particular with certain enemies will give you more of what the enemy would drop. Like, I noticed in a certain section of gameplay that 40 health would drop from a regular enemy, and then 80 health would drop from the other one. I'm hoping that's an easy level setting, because honestly, that's way too easy. Now, you see, like I said there, his body blew apart there. That one was clear. Now, why I think this is easy, is on its easy mode right now, is the fact that, I mean, just look at it right now. He was like up in 3 guys' faces with 34 health, and he took really no damage. I'm really hoping this is on easy. The AI doesn't seem to be necessarily smart either. That's concerning me a little bit. I mean, they just sort of wandered out there. Not really a lot of portions to it. Is that enemy still alive? That enemy may still be alive, but... yeah. Now, it's interesting that, you know, this is feeling a little bit like Doom. I admit. It is feeling similar to it, and that sort of change up. Now, we saw the change up to the different weapon there, actually slowing things down, not stopping time. I like that. I like, you have to sort of think on the fly, although you get time to actually deal with it. Physics engine seems to be actually rather good in terms of, like, things naturally falling. You know, you shot that guy off the railing at that point. Now, what I'm also noticing, though, is that the ammo count, you don't necessarily get a full ammo count of exactly... well, do you? You see, the ammo count's a little bit weird right now. Maybe you don't have enough shots, or did you just keep on pumping shots in? Yeah, there we go. So, it's really doing 1 or 2 bullets at a time at that point, and then reloading. You're not got, like, X amount of weapons in your clip. Now, this one obviously is a plasma rifle, which is a little bit interesting. Definitely different weapon at that point. Showing off the gun model. No reloads. That's an interesting take on things, and I do actually like it. It definitely feels a lot different from other shooters of the genre. Obviously, you're reloading in case of the shotgun, but, you know, okay. You're sacrificing that for sort of speed, or you're going for power rather than speed. Not sure why that enemy just sort of fell apart at that point. Alright, so we're going to continue on here. And we get a little section. Now, I like this upcoming section because this gives me a lot of confidence in the way of presentation by Bethesda, because he's going to go in here, he doesn't have the clearance, but he's going to use his little echo device here to figure out what's going on, and it's going to show him what happened. Now, I've always been a kind of person that has been show, don't tell. And a lot of these games, a lot of these sci-fi games have, you know, those audio logs or those, you know, video logs, and while they can add a section to it, this holographic area is really a nice touch in terms of understanding what happened without actually being there. It, again, show the audience exactly what's going on. It gives a level of immersion of like, oh shit, that actually happened, as opposed to, you know, just like you reading a story more than anything else. And, well, he's gonna get ripped apart. Don't know why that guy was just sort of standing there at this point. It's a little weird that he looks directly at you at that point. And what's interesting is he actually carries this guy away as opposed to ripping him off, which is an interesting, like, okay, is he going to use that for, you know, them for a certain purpose? You know, what are they doing with that? Oh, was that the guy in question? That might have been. Taking the arm off, grabbing that arm, not using the stairs for any reason. Obviously, he doesn't have the security clearance, so he's obviously foreign to this area here. I do like the little touch there with the blood, like sort of, you know, moving it down. We did get some armor there for the first time. You'll notice that there is seemingly no regenerating health. I do like that. That's old school. I've always been a fan of, you know, I think the regenerating health has been overused lately, and in particular, I do like that. I did notice a frame drop there. That does concern me a little bit, but it also doesn't concern me because that seems to recall in-game footage. And, of course, the chainsaw. Oh, it's got ammo. Okay. The super chainsaw, I should say. Now, it definitely has that stylistic look, especially with the 2 claws on there. Now, there's definitely a lot of blood and guts there. Again, I'm not the kind of person who's going to use, like, the melee weapons there. And I do like how some of the animations are a little bit different there, but again, it slows down gameplay a little bit too much for me. The blood definitely does help in terms of, you know, that effect, that splatter effect. It's definitely trying to go for presentation, which, okay, good. You need to do that in an E3 trailer. It's an interesting take on it. It goes back to the shotgun here. Again, something about the system feels a little bit unnatural at this point. Something about this trailer, to me, while it looks like it could be in-game footage, like the way that the shotgun doesn't act the same necessarily on every person, and in particular that one early on, I do have to wonder whether or not, is it context sensitive or what exactly is going on there. I don't want to say this is pre-rendered gameplay footage, but it feels a little bit off. Up, and you die here. I do like how they can execute you, and you do feel this pain. Now, whether or not that was specifically for the purposes of this demo, I don't know. Again, while they showed the in-game HUD, I'm always sort of skeptical when they show games like this, especially when there's inconsistencies, and I see a little bit of inconsistency within this trailer. Now, looking at the enemy type a little bit, you know, I do like the design of this enemy in question. I like the teeth. I like the, you know, it's not necessarily a skull, but gives the skull sort of features to it. It's definitely been sort of corrupted, whatever it is, but you feel like it has its elements of what might have been a human, but it's obviously been morphed. The lack of the nose, the sort of eyes, the way that they've got the blood portion in it, like it's been sort of corrupted from the, you know, inside and is just sort of eating away at him. I do like the fact that they've kept him in the armor, and the armor doesn't necessarily have like the greatest of, I mean, it's not perfect, but it shows that, you know, maybe the armor didn't do anything for him. There's a lot of detail within the sort of story element that you can take from this and the designs of the characters, and I really do like how they've designed this one in particular. Now, one of the things that I noticed during the combat, it felt slow-paced in this section of it. There is another set of footage that I would like to take a look at, in particular some parts of that footage. So now, I apologize for this next section, mostly because I can't find 1080p footage of this second hell stage in the single campaign, or the single player within the game. But I found 720p, I've up-resed it at this point, okay, so on and so forth. Now, it's got the Doom look. It's got the sort of, you know, desolate, you know, sort of, you know, everything is sort of dead kind of look. It's the one game where I can say browns and the use of red in particular makes a lot of sense for the genre in question. Like, I got sick of the whole browns and dark browns and everything that we were seeing out of, like, you know, more realistic shooters. But here I think it works because you're in a sense of hell of some sort. Yeah, Mars. Now, it looks like there's impact compensation. Okay, cool. Similar to, like, the Portal 2 portions. They're showing off a little bit more of the weaponry here. I don't know what that kind of weapon is in terms of effects. Blown away there. Again, it's way too inconsistent for me. Something about this game and its sort of, you know, physics regarding the bodies feels inconsistent. The thing is that if this was a gameplay trailer that was sort of scripted, I would think they would get that detail right. And so I feel like when I look at this again, over and over again, I feel like, yeah, no, this is actual gameplay in question. However, maybe they're needing to tweak things in question. It's just one of those feelings I have. Now, there is no prompt there. Okay, fine, that's a little bit weird, but it's auto. And here's where we start seeing the weirdness in terms of the health. Like, okay, so this guy's gonna attack us. We're gonna kill him at this point. And we're going to rip off his head. And health drops. You get 40 health from that at that point. Okay, reasonable. You were at 30, now you're at 70. Now, the bigger guys give a little bit more health in question, but it looks like it doubles in terms of the size. Now, he brings out, I don't know what that is necessarily. Is it a rocket launcher? I don't know. 50 damage from whatever that was. And I don't know what happened to that other enemy, too. Like, did that enemy die? Like again, something about this trailer, again, even though it feels like it is the gameplay, it feels off. Like, the circumstances for the trailer were altered in terms of the gameplay, in terms of going for a more cinematic experience. I'm noticing that he's taking a lot more damage when he's at a higher health rather than a lower health. Like right now, he's at 97. Now he's at 72. And then like after one hit, he's at 48. Okay, that seems all right at that point. Rocket, 23. Now, look, you see, there's where I want to go back. Let's stop right here. Now, we're going to slow down here and notice that he throws a rocket right at the pillar right next to him. He goes from 23 health to 15 health. I want you to notice that over later on, because that's going to become a huge difference. All right, so we see him throw whatever the heart is back into the guy. He explodes. 85 health from that huge enemy. Again, that seems a little high, and again, gives me indications that maybe the demo was either played on easy, or maybe just for the idea of the cinematic. Now here, there, see that? This is what I'm talking. All right, the player's at 71, and notice how he uses the rocket launcher here right in front of the enemy, about the same distance from the pillar almost. 71 health, keep that in mind. And the guy goes running at him, he fires it, he goes from 71 to 11. That one gave him 60 damage. What is so different about this situation compared to the other? Remember, the other one he was at 27. If that's the same mechanics there, why didn't he die in the first case? That gives me an indication that maybe the code was altered a little bit for the gameplay in terms of the trailer in question. What do I mean? Well, making it so that the situation where the player stays alive, but is a more cinematic experience. The fact is, if you're low on health, you sort of get that adrenaline rush when watching it. I wonder if the situation was changed up a tiny bit. I don't want to be sort of tinfoil hat kind of situation, but it honestly gave me that feeling at that point, and is concerning in terms of the gameplay not being representative of what the final product is. So I do have a lot of concerns about it. Now, the game looks great, and I am wanting to see another game in the Doom franchise, don't get me wrong. I'm very much a critic. I'm very much a person who is going to be very skeptical of everything that comes out. The fact of the matter is, until I get it in my hands, I'm not an E3 kind of person. I do it for the fact that, you know, people want to hear about it, but the idea here is that I'd rather, you know, cover, you know, games that are out and actually get my hands on. Here, I feel like, yeah, it looks great. I feel like until I see it in my hands, I'm going to be very, very skeptical at this point, especially with this trailer and its inconsistencies, unfortunately, that I see. In particular, that it's setting itself up for a more dramatic experience more than anything else. And while I do like this Cyber Demon here and the BFG, it's obvious to me that there's something a little bit off. All right, I'll see you all later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you've missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.